This is a fake one-sided rivalry. We got Angel Reese taking more shots at Caitlin Clark unnecessarily. You in Indiana having a great time partying. We see all the clips. Why can't you just do your thing? Why can't you just do your thing?
Want to know the exact moment Angel Reese's big marketing move completely backfired? Here's the setup. In the middle of WNBA All-Star Weekend, Reese launched her new shoe campaign. Banners everywhere, promotions in full swing, clearly trying to take center stage in Indianapolis. But then, things took a turn. Caitlin Clark suffered an injury. Ticket prices for the weekend dropped by nearly 50%, and just like that, Reese's entire rollout started looking more like poor timing than brilliance. The numbers tell the story. When Clark isn't playing, fan interest drops fast. And without that spotlight, Reese's bold campaign felt more awkward than impactful. In this video, we're breaking down every awkward moment from Reese's All-Star Weekend and why fans are now questioning her moves. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. This story is only heating up.
But can Sarah Spain and the media stop going out there and saying that like the Caitlin Clark needs to do something to stop all this, when it is very clear this is a one-sided beef, and the one-sided beef is not from Caitlin Clark?
Heading into All-Star Weekend, many believed this would finally be the moment when women's basketball broke through into the mainstream sports conversation. The expectations? A showdown between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in Indianapolis. Packed arenas, fans on their feet, and viewership numbers strong enough to make even the biggest networks take notice. Everything seemed perfectly set, almost like something straight out of a Hollywood script.
We do start our show, though, with unfortunate news out of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark announced today that she will miss both the three-point contest and the WNBA All-Star Game this upcoming weekend in Indiana after re-aggravating a groin injury in that final minute of Tuesday's win over the Connecticut Sun. Clark had missed 4 games and the Commissioner's Cup final with that groin injury earlier this month, and now will be out for this weekend's festivities, which really stinks for fans, but you know that if there was any way that she...
But just days before the big weekend, news broke about Caitlin Clark's groin injury, and suddenly, everything started to unravel. Fans had been planning for months, booking flights to Indianapolis specifically to watch Clark play on her home court. Hotels were packed. Restaurants were gearing up for crowds they hadn't seen since March Madness brought the NCAA tournament to town. The marketing machine was already in motion. Corporate sponsors had invested heavily, counting on the Clark versus Reese rivalry to capture attention and drive engagement. Nike had special edition releases ready to go. ESPN had been hyping this as a can't-miss event. Social media was filled with countdowns, predictions, and debates about who would shine the brightest.
The story we have been following throughout the past 2 days surrounds the superstar herself, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA star, the Indiana Fever star, Caitlin Clark. She's going to miss all the action on the court.
Caitlin Clark's home state advantage was meant to be the perfect stage for her breakout moment. Indiana fans were ready to fill Gainbridge Fieldhouse and show the entire league what true basketball passion looks like. The story practically wrote itself. The hometown star taking center stage at the biggest WNBA event of the year. But once news of Clark's injury began spreading across social media, everything started to unravel. The domino effect was immediate. Suddenly, all those carefully planned marketing strategies felt unstable. The headline matchup everyone had been waiting for simply vanished overnight. And just like that, you could feel the excitement being drained from the weekend.
Caitlin Clark gets hurt, and guess what? Your demand vanishes because people ain't going to pay up to see these athletes that are ungrateful that their sport's growing. People aren't paying up for that. And we are here, right here. The tickets for this game, for this All-Star game, they've dropped by 50%.
This wasn't just any injury, and Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's the reason a wave of new fans have been paying attention to the WNBA this season. From casual sports viewers to people who never watched women's basketball before, Clark gave them a reason to tune in and see what the buzz was about. Her absence wasn't just about losing a player, it meant losing the one figure truly moving the needle for the league. What was supposed to be a weekend celebrating the growth of women's basketball quickly turned into a harsh reminder of just how fragile that momentum really is. All that hype, all the anticipation, and all those sponsorship dollars banking on record-breaking success, It all hinged on one superstar being healthy enough to take the court, and when she couldn't, it became painfully clear how much of the league's recent surge depends on Caitlin Clark's star power.
But when it comes to the vendors in the arena, the shops in the arena, they're not going to have the same amount of people patronize their business as they would if Caitlin Clark was there. The surrounding restaurants, the surrounding areas, the surrounding attractions, they're not going to have the same number of people.
What was meant to be a celebration of women's basketball instead served as a clear reminder of just how much progress the league still needs to make. While Caitlin Clark was facing a real injury and leaving countless fans disappointed, fans who had truly been looking forward to watching her play, someone else saw the situation as the perfect opportunity to shift the spotlight onto themselves.
Reebok, Angel Reese are taking shots at Caitlin Clark, using her as promo. Angel Reese, let's be clear here. Let's just be all the way clear here. Angel Reese is a solid basketball player. Angel Reese 100% has benefited from attaching herself to Caitlin Clark at every single turn. Her podcast, the first 3 episodes, all the clips promoting was bringing up Caitlin Clark. It was bringing up Caitlin Clark and all of the promo. People wanted to know what she was going to say. She used Caitlin Clark as promo.
Imagine this, launching your biggest marketing campaign right in your biggest rival's hometown, all while she's sidelined with an injury and unable to compete. That's exactly what Angel Reese did during WNBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. She unveiled her Reebok signature shoe with bold billboards, aggressive social media promotion, and messaging that felt like a direct challenge, all happening in Caitlin Clark's home territory. The timing, impossible to ignore.
Angel Reese, I'm in your city. Walk in your trap, take over your trap. Post it on Instagram. There's about 15 fans there, and Reebok put up a board. You would expect Reebok to put up a board. Let's never forget that when let's never forget the gigantic Caitlin Clark Nike billboard in Chicago. Let's never forget that. So if Reebok didn't put up a board for Angel Reese,
the timing couldn't have been more questionable, or more strategic, depending on how you see it. Angel Reese's team built this entire campaign around making a splash right in Indianapolis, fully aware this was Caitlin Clark's home court. But this wasn't just a typical shoe release. It felt more like a bold statement, planting a flag in rival territory and making sure everyone noticed.
Is you continue to take shots at her, and then when them shots get fired back, nobody likes it. We don't have no videos of Caitlin Clark really taking shots at Angel Reese. Look at what Angel Reese and Reebok are doing for views. Walk in your trap, take over your trap. This is promo they're doing in Indianapolis, where Caitlin Clark plays. That is a clear shot. It's a clear shot. Like I said, this is a fake rivalry. I think you've won one game versus Caitlin Clark. You've never won in Indiana at all. It's just like you continue to attach yourself to her at every turn and use her as promo.
Let's be honest about what really went down here. Angel Reese flooded social media with bold messaging like, walk in your trap, take over your trap, even pairing it with Bankroll Fresh's song to drive the point home on her Instagram story. But with Caitlin Clark sidelined by injury, the timing couldn't help but raise eyebrows. To many, it came across like Reese was trying to claim a victory in a matchup where her biggest rival wasn't even able to compete. Fans didn't hold back on social media. While a few praised the marketing move, far more questioned the intent. Was this really the right time to lean in so hard when Clark was clearly sidelined for legitimate reasons? The reactions ranged from lighthearted jokes to sharp criticism, with plenty calling it opportunistic and poorly timed.
Clark has never said a negative word about Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark has never said a negative word, or like, to be honest, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, like, she did show it by her actions. Showed it by her actions. She didn't need to say, I'm taking over Chicago. She did, however, go and put up 31 and 12, set a career high with 12 assists, be the only player in the history of the WNBA ever to have 31 and 12 in a game. She did, in fact, do that and then try to hype up the Chicago crowd. So it's like, fair enough, you want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark did this, then show it with your actions. Go and win MVP. Go and win MVP. Don't just be like, this is my city. Don't just come in and be like, this is my city. You've never won a game. Has she won a game in Indiana? I don't think she's ever won a game in Indiana. I actually do not think she has won a pro game in Indiana.
Here's where things took an unexpected turn. Instead of pulling back once Caitlin Clark's injury was confirmed, Angel Reese doubled down. While most players across the league showed respect for Clark's situation and kept the focus on celebrating women's basketball, Reese pushed forward with her marketing campaign as if nothing had changed. The difference couldn't have been more obvious. Other All-Stars were highlighting the growth of the league, the fans, and the game itself. Meanwhile, Reese seemed determined to keep fueling a rivalry, even though Clark wasn't healthy enough to respond on the court. One breakdown pointed out that Reese's team is smart when it comes to marketing strategy. They knew this campaign would spark conversation, even if a lot of that conversation wasn't exactly positive.
Now with Reebok she's using, this is nonstop. She has attached herself to Caitlin Clark at every single turn, and she has benefited. Let's be clear here. Yes, she does receive backlash. She does receive negativity, but she has benefited greatly. She has made millions of dollars off of attaching herself to Caitlin Clark and using her to make her brand bigger.
What was likely intended as a bold and attention-grabbing marketing strategy ended up feeling more like trying to claim victory in a game where the opponent wasn't even able to compete. Promoting the idea of taking over someone else's city while that player is sidelined with an injury doesn't exactly scream competition. It comes across more as opportunism, disguised as confidence. Analysts pointed out what many fans were already noticing. This felt like a one-sided rivalry. While Reese was out promoting her brand, Caitlin Clark was focused on real basketball challenges and recovering from legitimate setbacks. But the real evidence of how this move fell flat, it's all there in the numbers.
This is absolutely a one-sided rivalry. And we've got to say it like it is. Like, we can't say Caitlin needs to do this, Caitlin needs to do that. Let's be real. The only reason this is still a rivalry is because the other side of the rivalry won't stop it. And by the way, it is extremely beneficial for Angel Reese to be in this rivalry.
If you really want to understand Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA, just look at what happened when she wasn't able to take the court. Ticket prices tell the full story. They dropped from $121 to just $64, a staggering 48% decline almost immediately after news of her injury was announced. This wasn't just a minor fluctuation. It was clear proof that without Clark, the product's value takes a serious hit. According to data from TickPick, this year's All-Star Game was on pace to become the most expensive in league history, with average ticket prices reaching $260 before Clark's injury. But that record-setting demand, it disappeared almost overnight. A sharp reminder of how much star power truly drives this league.
The ticket prices. The demand fell off a cliff. And it's not just the on-court product that suffers without number 22, Caitlin Clark. The entire weekend's economic opportunities have felt the fallout. This was conveyed with a July 18th post from NBA Central that wrote, quote, "The get-in price for the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis has dropped 48%, from $121 a ticket to $64 a ticket after the news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing." I mean, the tickets lost 50% of its value. These numbers are confirmed by TickPick's website, currently having the All-Star Game's get-in price at $64. In a July 16th article from Front Office Sports, which was posted before Clark announced she'd be sitting out, was $121.
What does this tell us about the impact of Caitlin Clark on the WNBA's biggest matchups? Her presence doesn't just drive interest, it elevates demand to levels this league has never experienced before. Look at the numbers. When Clark missed games back in late May due to a quad injury, ticket resale prices for Indiana Fever road games took a nosedive, dropping 47% for a matchup against Washington and a staggering 71% for a game in Chicago. That's not the typical effect of an ordinary player sitting out. That's the kind of influence only a true superstar brings. Corporate sponsors and broadcast partners had to rethink their strategies on the fly. Special event packages through WNBA experiences had already sold out in advance. Arena seats were snapped up within hours of going on sale. But all of that preparation, all of that investment, became uncertain the moment the league's biggest draw wasn't able to step on the court.
From $121 all the way down to just $64 after news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing. These are people saying, I'm done. I don't want to watch. Caitlin Clark's not. I bought tickets solely to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star game. I made accommodations solely to get to Indiana to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star game. She's injured. I have no interest in that anymore. People are selling their tickets so much so they just want off of them. 121, okay. You want it for 100? Oh no, okay. I guess I gotta lower it to 80. Oh, you don't want to buy it for 80? Okay, I guess I'll lower it to 70. You don't want to buy it to 70? I guess I'll lower it to $64. The WNBA is paying attention to these trends, and they're seeing firsthand what Caitlin Clark is worth to this league.
The ripple effects of Caitlin Clark's absence stretched far beyond the arena. Merchandise sales took a hit. Concession stands saw fewer customers. Even hotel bookings in Indianapolis felt the impact. Local businesses had been counting on Clark to bring thousands of fans into the city. Restaurants had prepared for crowds they hadn't seen since the madness of March. Hotels had filled up in anticipation of a major boost from basketball tourism. But this wasn't just about lost ticket revenue. Her absence disrupted the entire economic ecosystem surrounding the event. What this really highlights is how much the league currently relies on a single superstar. It's both a massive opportunity and a serious risk. A player like Caitlin Clark draws unprecedented attention, drives sales, and elevates the entire sport. But when she's sidelined, the cracks in that foundation become impossible to ignore. Right now, no one else in the WNBA has this kind of influence.
Really unfortunate that Caitlin Clark missed it. The crowd would have been exploding. The crowd would have been exploding. The arena would have been exploding. Oh man, a big miss as far as the WNBA is concerned.
Let's be honest about what these numbers really revealed. It's been clear for a while that Caitlin Clark isn't just another talented player. But the moment ticket prices dropped nearly 50%, it became undeniable. She is the main attraction right now. The WNBA had carefully built its entire All-Star weekend around her presence. Without Clark on the floor, fans immediately placed less value on the experience, and the market responded. While the economics told a clear story about Clark's importance, something else was happening that left fans shaking their heads. In the middle of all this, with attendance and excitement already dipping, WNBA players chose that exact moment to make a statement of their own. During warm-ups for the All-Star game, players wore shirts reading, "Pay us what you owe us," calling for higher compensation across the league. But with timing being everything, this move landed awkwardly. From a fan's perspective, it couldn't have come at a worse moment. The league had just watched ticket prices collapse because its biggest star couldn't play. For those who had spent good money on this weekend, the message didn't land as intended. Instead, it looked like frustration over pay was being voiced while the value of the product had just been publicly exposed.
I mean, you're going to mess around and a large, massive group of fans are going to be like, enough is enough. We've never had to see anything like it in sports, but you don't see these other leagues going around talking crazy about their fan bases all the time, like this league does. It's continuous. They're running their mouth about the people that are paying money to see them. You don't have other jobs where people walk up. You're in a public job that's in front of the world.
At the very moment when the value of their league was under scrutiny, WNBA players chose to make their voices heard, calling for a bigger share of the pie. Right now, the league is deep in negotiations over a new collective bargaining agreement. Players are pushing for real, meaningful improvements, better travel arrangements, higher salaries, expanded rosters, and increased support for mothers. These are valid concerns that deserve serious attention. But for many watching from the outside, the timing couldn't have felt more off. To some fans, it seemed disconnected from the reality playing out in front of them. Social media quickly reacted, with plenty of criticism aimed at what people saw as poor optics. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Demands for more pay were coming as ticket sales and attendance had clearly shown how much of the current success hinges on a single superstar who wasn't even able to suit up. Comments ranged from confusion to frustration, with many fans feeling as though the players were biting the very hand that feeds them. In the court of public opinion, the timing overshadowed the message, and the backlash reflected that.
A bunch of players and coaches of the last few days have complained without being fine-worthy about officiating. I just want to see about your thoughts on if officiating is an issue and how it can be improved, because clearly there seems to be problems or disconnect between what players and coaches feel and what officials are actually calling.
The real issues behind the players' protest were completely overshadowed by unfortunate timing. WNBA athletes have expressed growing frustration that their pay hasn't reflected the league's recent surge in popularity, especially with a massive $2.2 billion media rights deal set to kick in by 2026. WNBA Players Association President Nika Ogwumike has been vocal about her concerns, criticizing the league's focus on salary caps rather than working toward a fairer share of revenue for players. But here's the thing. In other major sports leagues, these kinds of disputes don't typically take center stage during marquee events. You don't see NBA players wearing protest slogans during All-Star Weekend. The NFL doesn't turn the Super Bowl into a platform for salary negotiations. There's a time and place for those discussions. And for many, the All-Star festivities didn't feel like the right one. This added even more negativity to a weekend that was already spiraling. First, Caitlin Clark's injury dominated headlines. Then, ticket prices nosedived. And now, players were making public demands while the event itself struggled to hold momentum. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert described the ongoing negotiations as productive and constructive. But many players walked away feeling like nothing meaningful had been accomplished.
I know as a fan of sports for 60 years now, I know that, no one's ever happy with officiating. All sports deal with it, but we're working hard to make sure we're putting the best product out on the court, and our officiating then follows that.
While the protest did shine a light on real issues within the league, the timing couldn't have been worse. To many, it appeared as though players were asking for higher pay at the very moment their biggest star was sidelined and fan interest was slipping. Even Caitlin Clark herself has publicly said, "We should be paid more." But she wasn't the one making statements with protest shirts during warm-ups. Still, here's why none of this short-term negativity will matter in the long run. This weekend confirmed what fans and analysts already knew. Caitlin Clark isn't just another talented player. She's the driving force behind the league's growth. When she's out, ticket prices fall by nearly half. But when she's healthy, the WNBA shatters attendance records and earns the kind of mainstream coverage it's never experienced before. Angel Reese can launch as many shoe campaigns as she wants during All-Star Weekend. She can fill Indianapolis with "I'm in your city" billboards and try to make it her moment. But the numbers speak louder than any marketing stunt. Without Caitlin Clark on the floor, there was no true rivalry to fuel the hype, and fans simply weren't interested. If anything, this setback only builds anticipation for Clark's return and makes the Indiana Fever's championship hopes for 2025 even more exciting. If you're still with us, drop Baby Giraffe in the comments to let us know your thoughts on this latest drama. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss what's next.